We start right there. Bring out the food.
Imagine living with a seemingly insurmountable illness or other event in your life. It can be a disease like AIDS, forcing you to face your own death. And even when not being sick, having lingering days of fatigue and despair. Imagine that even with newer and better treatments, which can offer more hope and more energy, there still lingers the possibility of impending doom. You still feel all the limitations that this disease has forced upon you, all the things you can never do again. You are afraid. Having encountered and somehow survived the unsurvivable, there is now fear. How can you ever go out and risk living again? Climbing mountains can be about summits. But yet, the time spent on top of a mountain could be only a few minutes. There is more to the experience. And although the preparation for a climb can take months of training and physical conditioning, and the time spent hiking and camping on the mountain for the climb itself may take days or weeks, there is still more. TeamQuest started in 1997 as part of Project Quest, a non-profit developed as a community for helping people living and dying with HIV and AIDS. During the spring of 1997, a climbing group formed with the goal of reaching the summit of Mount St. Helens in Washington State. All 7 members of the group were either living with HIV or had AIDS. They began by training and taking hikes together, and by early July made their summit attempt. Unfortunately, during snow and whiteout conditions, they were turned back after only a few thousand feet on the slopes. 3 of the climbers returned several weeks later, reaching the summit after 5 grueling hours. This time, under more summer-like conditions, they were able to bask in the sun on the summit. During the next year, several smaller groups tackled other hikes and climbs. By early 1999, 25 people met for hikes and various activities, but they had a larger goal in mind: to send a TeamQuest group to the summit of Mount Rainier in Washington State. At 14,440 feet, Mount Rainier can be a formidable challenge with unpredictable weather. It is often used as a training ground for Mount Everest. But after months of physical conditioning and training, 10 people with HIV, AIDS, and other life-challenging illnesses tackled the peak in July of that summer. Many people struggled on the mountain, being forced to drop out one by one, and by 12,000 feet, only 2 climbers remained to complete the climb. and they faced bitter cold temperatures and 50-mile-per-hour winds. Yet, the successful climbers represented success for the whole team. Everyone had achieved their summit. The team gained more than the top of a mountain. They built a sense of community and support that transcended their climbing experience. Most climbers spoke later about how the experience had changed their lives. In the years since, the team has continued through other climbs. Mount Baker, Mount Hood, Middle and South Sisters, and they have made the now familiar Mount St. Helens a regular climb. In the summer of 2002, the team again headed to Mount Rainier for another successful climb, with 8 members reaching the summit. And in January of 2003, a small group of climbers achieved their most ambitious climb yet, the summit of Kilimanjaro in Africa. Through all of these experiences, each climbing group has developed a spirit of community and trust. To the climbers of TeamQuest, it is as much about the process, the total experience, that draws us to the mountaintop. Each climber affirms this complete process through training hikes and climbs, experience with roping techniques, through long, grueling approaches, camping in various conditions, or facing the challenge of dangerous slopes, and even having some frivolity along the way. On many of the climbs, we are all roped together, recognizing our duty and responsibility to each other. If one person falls in a crevasse, we must all be prepared to act swiftly. Our responsibility lies just not with ourselves, but with each member of the rope team. It is about putting one foot in front of the other, even while on the edge of the abyss, to reaffirm our connection to life and living, even while facing the unsurmountable. In the end, there is something transcendent about climbing. Maybe it is the challenging yet beautiful scenery, or the experience of trying whether or not a peak is attainable, and of course of putting one foot in front of the other, and sometimes walking on the edge of the knowable, maybe starting out broken, but mysteriously returning a little bit more complete. Each climber comes away from the mountain with their own unique experience, but we all climb and we all descend together.
Okay, my glacier glass.